Hey guys, AJ here, back with another one. So today we're going to look at an article from Psychology Today. It is called Divorce is a Risk Factor for Self-Deletion, especially for Men. But before we do that, guys, please remember to like, subscribe, drop a comment. It really does help keep this channel going. So alright you guys, this was published in June 30th of 2019. And it reads, the link between divorce self-delusion has been known since the pioneering sociological studies of Emil Durkheim. In the United States, the rate of suicide among persons who are divorced or separated is usually reported as about 2.4 times greater than the self-deletion rate for married persons. A successful marriage, it seems, can be a protective factor against death by self-deletion. Conversely, separation and divorce seems to raise self-deletion risk. Or you can also say that not getting married at all is prevention for self-deletion. The scientist Kapasawa made an extremely important point about the married versus divorce self-deletion divide. Dr. Kapasawa noted that there were huge differences between the self-delusion rates among the divorced men as compared to divorced women. In fact, the data showed that compared to divorced women, divorced men were 9 times more likely to die by self-deletion. Put another way, for every one divorced woman who dies by self-deletion, there are 9 divorced men who do. That's nuts. Think about it. For every one woman who divorces and self-deletes, there's 9 men. That's nuts. It's absolutely insane, right? And guys, we all know why that is, right? That's because women are incentivized to divorce. They always come out better off because they get the house, they get the kids, they get alimony. If you're in the military or you have some type of pension, they can get half of that. So they come out better, even though, according to popular media, they think that they lose because of emotional trauma. Boo-hoo, right? Here we go. It continues. This 9-to-1 ratio dwarfs the 3.5-to-1 male advantage we see in self-deletion. So they're saying that it's 3.5-to-1 in regular self-deletion, but when it comes to divorce, it's crazy. In 2017, 36,782 American men died by self-deletion versus 10,391 women. Clearly, the disparity in deaths among divorced males is not simply the result of men being generally more self-deleted than women. Therefore, something more than typical explanations for the male-female imbalance in self-deletion are at work. So they're saying that there's something more than the fact that men choose more effective ways of doing it, and then men are more likely to abuse drugs and men are more likely to be aggressive. They're saying there's something else at work other than the usual suspects. Dr. Kapasawa, a sociologist at the University of California, suggested that society has undervalued the strength of maternal-child bonds and thus underestimated, here we go guys, the traumatic effect of severing those bonds through our typical custody arrangements. Exactly. Guys, mothers get custody 90% of the time. They get primary custody. And we have this whole equality ethnicity where men and women are equal. That means that they can equally be crappy. That means there's just as many crappy mothers as crappy dads, and yet women get custody 90% of the time. Clown world. So he's saying that he thinks that one of the factors that's making these men do this is they're being alienated from their children because they're having their parental bonds severed. Okay. Further, we fail to appreciate the catastrophic financial impact of divorce on men and the anger and resentment engendered by losses of both property and status in the wake of a divorce. So women don't like divorce because of the social stigma, right? Because you hear a lot of women say, I don't want to get divorced because I don't want to be a divorcee. Men, however, self-delete because of the hit we take on money, our parenting status, etc. Right? So they worry about social status, we worry about everything else. It's ridiculous. And this guy says, I suspect that something else is afoot. Couldn't it be that the personality and social factors that contributed to the failure of the marriage also contribute to excess self-deletion? Couldn't the risk factors for divorce in men be related to the risk factors for self-deletion in divorced men? Female dissatisfaction with marriage is a stable predictor of eventual divorce. Exactly, because they file 80% of the time. Perhaps we should consider marital behaviors that might lead to such dissatisfaction. Here we go, guys. Suppose that a certain married man spends more than he makes, runs a so this is blaming the man here, you guys. Here we go. Because, of course, well, he could just be saying reasons why he should put the women feel dissatisfied with marriage and not why women are, right? So, suppose that a certain married man spends more than he makes, runs up marital debts, makes poor financial decisions, drinks too much, eats too much, shoots his mouth up at people that can make him pay for it, and makes advances towards women who are not his wife. He's describing a woman today, actually. In other words, there's a marked pattern of impulsiveness, poor decision making, and poor self-discipline, and poor inhibition. You might label this category behaviors as poor frontal lobe functioning, or low conscientiousness, or acting like a woman. In this case, after the eventual divorce, we're contemplating his situation. Might this person also be higher at risk yet for another ill-advised decision? So he's basically saying that a guy that makes poor decisions in life and in marriage can end up making the poor decision of self-deletion. And I guess that kind of tracks, but at the same time, all the behaviors that he described is what women do in marriage. They run up marital debts. They make poor financial decisions. Oftentimes they drink too much. We know that women get married and get fat, so they eat too much, and they definitely shoot their mouths off at people that can make them pay for it, and they get attention from men. So he says men can make advances towards women, but women make advances for attention towards men. So anyways, it continues. Now suppose that a second man throws himself into work to the detriment of his social relationships. His friendships gradually fall away. His wife and children feel ignored, or worse, that they're regarded by him as inconveniences. And guys, let's stop right there. Here's another funny part about marriage and relationships. The women want a guy who makes a lot of money, but then they want him to be around all the time. If you want to date a guy who's a surgeon, a lawyer, a doctor, owns his own trucking business, any guy that's on his way to success is not going to be around. So, he works late at night and on weekends, drawing a quiet satisfaction from his steady advancement and his growing purchasing power. At some point, he's genuinely surprised to be handed divorce papers by his wife hired to do the deed, or deputy hired to do the deed. Hadn't he given her everything that a woman could want? Never mind that he had not as much touched her or looked into her eyes for a matter of years. But she still had a big house, a nice car, and private school for her kids. But like most women, it's never enough. And then he's saying after the divorce, that man has no friends, and only co-workers, and that leads to isolation, and he could self-delete. And then he's saying that the final hypothetical divorcee is a guy that got married knowing that he shouldn't have been married in the first place. And he decides to, self-delete. So, guys, I'll leave the link to this full article in the description. But let me know what you guys think. This just shows that, guys, you have to be careful. If you decide to get married, you have to be careful, guys, because there's all these things that are stacked up. Child support court, alimony, isolation, all these things that could lead men to do something, to do a permanent solution to a temporary problem. All right, you guys, this is AJ. I appreciate all you guys' support. I'm out of here.